Welcome to the Las Vegas Review-Journal Judicial Primary Debates. Here's your host, Victor Jakes.
Hello, I'm Victor Jakes. Welcome to the Las Vegas Review-Journal's Nevada Judicial Debate Series. Today's debate is between two of the three candidates running for Clark County Family Court Department I. Incumbent Judge Cheryl Moss isn't seeking re-election. Joining me via Zoom are Soonhee Bailey and Yvette Chevalier Lopez. Michelle Toblar wasn't able to make it tonight. We'll start by giving each candidate a 1-minute opening statement. Soonhee, go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Soonhee Bailey. I'm running for Family Court Department I. My family moved to Clark County over 16 years ago to obtain treatment for our violent autistic daughter. The support of the community was amazing, and I was able to continue my legal practice, first as a deputy public defender, as in civil litigation, as a hearing officer with the Taxi Cab Authority, and the acting labor commissioner for the state of Nevada. I was selected over 5 years ago by the court to serve as a hearing master in family court. And I started the only diversionary program in the nation for youth with autism to keep them out of our criminal justice system. I'm running for Family Court Department I to continue to serve and support the community that has supported me and my family. I am proud that this support of my candidacy also includes endorsements of fire, police, the Juvenile Probation Officers Association, the Clark County Prosecutors Association, Labor, Southern Nevada CLC, SEIU, Culinary, IBEW, and Local Labor 872. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Soonhee. Yvette, you have 1 minute.
Thank you. My name is Yvette Chevalier Lopez, and I moved to Las Vegas in 1981. With almost 40 years of residency, 90% of my work has been with children and families in Clark County. My career started out as a school teacher, and that was followed by serving as a high school counselor for 10 years. I was a manager for the Clark County Foster Care Program, a director of social services for 2 different Indian tribes. I've worked in juvenile justice. I was an assistant prosecutor at the Pyramid Lake Paiute Tribe Justice Court in Nixon, Nevada. I graduated from law school from Boyd in 2003. And the majority of my practice has been working with children and families, particularly Latino families that don't have access to justice. I am the grandmother of 7 children. I have 1 grandson who's also autistic and blind. I have other grandchildren. They live in Oklahoma and in Sacramento, California. I have 2 adult children. And I feel collectively that my 40 years of experience working with the children and families of Clark County and with different diverse populations make me an excellent candidate for Family Court Department I. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Yvette. Soonhee, we'll give you the first question. Statistics from around the country show that women are several times more likely to receive full custody of their children than men. If you are elected to the family court, you will be seeing a lot of divorce and custody cases. Does that type of disparity concern you?
No, because the Nevada legislature cured that issue by having a statute that covers this type of issue. What they do is automatically it's presumed to be joint custody. So that presumption of having the mother always have custody is no longer in existence. It starts from joint. And then it takes quite a bit of evidence that you have to take during an evidentiary hearing to determine whether or not there's enough evidence to overcome that statute.
Thank you very much, Soonhee. Yvette, the same question to you. Does that disparity around the country concern you?
I agree with Bailey. It does, with Soonhee Bailey. It does concern me as a national issue that there are some states that are still showing a preference for one parent over the other. But Soonhee's correct that the Nevada legislature has made, the Nevada Supreme Court has made a ruling that it is in the best interest of children to have both parents parenting and actively involved. So for the sake of Clark County, that is less so than it has been in the past. And now both parents have equal access to their children unless there's a compelling reason or rebuttable presumption that must be presented with evidence to change that.
Thank you, Yvette. This question is for you, Yvette, first. As you know, divorces are hotly contested disputes just by their very nature. What steps can you take if you are elected to create more amicable outcomes?
Well, I think that my background as a counselor is very helpful. Although judges are not hired to provide marriage counseling from the bench. Judges who have compassion, who have understanding of human dynamics and family dynamics, and who have lots of experience with children from all different areas and walks of life, are able to have some empathy that a lot of judges don't have for whatever reasons. I think I would bring excellent empathy. I definitely feel that I'm the kind of judge who would give all of the parties a chance to speak, even if it's not for 30 minutes, because I think that telling your story has you at least bring closure to the matter. And I believe that that's very, very important. And so I think that even though it's a high conflict area, if you treat people with dignity and respect and you give them the time and attention that they need, at least they leave there feeling like Judge Chevalier was fair. She listened and she wasn't biased. And that's really the best that I can hope for as a judge dealing with contested matters.
Thank you very much, Yvette. Sunny, the same question to you. What can you do if you are elected to bring any sort of more of a peaceable resolution to divorce cases?
Well, I already deal with disruptive family dynamics every day in family court as a hearing master. I've been in discovery and guardianship as well as in juvenile delinquency, and we are always dealing with people on their worst day. That's what we always say. Family court is people on their worst day. What you do is you allow everyone an opportunity to have their case heard, but you set the guidelines and you make sure you can do and utilize everything possible in order to get a swift and quick resolution to these issues. We have the mediation center. We have different things that we can give to other families to help them get through this time and this emotional process. And so by doing that every day already as a hearing master, I believe that I'm very equipped to handle this in the regular courtroom setting.
Thank you very much, Sunny. Our Nevada Judicial primary debates will continue in just a moment.
The Vegas Nation podcast is your source for all of your Las Vegas Raiders news. Subscribe and get fast takes and smart coverage. Download the Vegas Nation app and check out vegasnation.com to stay up to date with your Las Vegas Raiders.
For all your Raiders news,
veterans on this team.
Like us on Facebook, download the Vegas Nation app, and go to vegasnation.com.
Welcome back to our Nevada Judicial primary debates. Sunny, this next question is for you. This isn't the first time you ran for judge. In 2012, you ran to be a district court judge, but voters didn't select you. As you know, there's a big difference between district court and family court. If you originally thought you were qualified to be a district court judge, why are you running for the family court now?
Actually, my experience is in all areas, civil, criminal, administrative, as well as family court. That was back in 2012. I was selected as a hearing master in family court 5 years ago. And it was in family court that I was allowed to really explore my huge passion for children and being able to assist families. Family court allows us so much more latitude to deal with the families and the issues of the children and families of Clark County that I want to stay in family court, where I've already been serving for 5 years and continue to support this community in that manner, which I'm already doing in juvenile delinquency and, as I said, already in guardianship as well.
Thank you, Sunny. Yvette, does that answer satisfy you?
It does. I don't have a problem with Sunny's answer. She likes family court, and so do I.
Well, my next question is for you, and it's in a similar vein. Yvette, in 2015, you ran to be a municipal court judge in Las Vegas. Municipal judges deal with traffic violations and misdemeanors, which is quite different from handling divorces and child custody cases. Why do you think you're qualified to do both jobs?
Thank you for that question. So I've now worked with families in family court matters for, 17 years. But in concurrently, I've had to manage criminal matters. I've had to do civil matters. I've done commercial collections law and business law in order to make a living. And I normally serve the underprivileged families, and I felt that municipal court was a great place to help people have access to justice, because it's sort of like the gateway drug concept where people enter the justice system, and initially they come in through the justice court or the municipal court for some low-level misdemeanor offense. And if you can help them at that level, you can rehabilitate people and prevent them from having problems, bigger problems down the line. Now, as far as family court goes, that's my passion. I've worked with children and families in Clark County since 1990. I was a school teacher at Bonanza High School in 1990, and I've never stopped helping the children and families of Nevada, and I'd like to continue to do that. I've worked many years, and I feel that collectively I'd make a good judge.
Well, thank you, Yvette. Sonny, does that answer satisfy you?
Well, it's not really for me to say whether or not it satisfies me or not. I too have experience in justice court and municipal court as a pro tem judge. That's where I learned how to handle heavy caseloads and difficult clientele and people that would appear in front of you. So I actually utilize those same skills in what I'm doing now every day as a hearing master in family court. So really can't say much about it. Judicial skills you learn and the trial experience that you learn from doing those pro tem, as I have thousands of hours in pro tem work as well. It helped prepare me for what I do now.
Thank you, Sonny. And I want to ask you a question about your campaign, Sonny. On your website, you have a list of dozens of lawyers who've endorsed you. Should the public be concerned that the clients of lawyers who have chosen not to endorse you will face a disadvantage in your courtroom if you're elected?
Absolutely not. I'm actually honored that I have the support of the legal community in the criminal, civil, and family court law, and the lawyers that practice in all those areas. And actually no one has a disadvantage, because when someone comes in front of me, as they currently do as a hearing master, I don't look at their attorney. You apply the law and the facts to everyone equally. So there is no disadvantage at all.
Yvette, are you satisfied with that? If you were an attorney who had endorsed her, would you feel confident that Sonny would impartially merit justice?
I don't know Sonny well enough to answer that question, but when I saw that list of people that supposedly endorsed Ms. Bailey for family court judge, my question about that was that it came out one day after we signed up as candidates for Clark County Family Court at the Clark County Election Department, and that list tells me that, you know, she's been canvassing people for many years before her candidacy. So that relationship of canvassing people before you become a candidate is somewhat troubling to me. But at the end of the day, the voters will decide, and with two different completely types of candidates, and I'm going for one vote at a time, and I'm not impressed by endorsements that come upon someone because they hire a high-powered consultant to help them with their campaign. I'm looking one voter at a time, and that's what I believe will get me to the end of this race, is one vote at a time, one family at a time. And I don't want to have any lawyers in my pocket or befriend any lawyers because I'm running for family court. I'd rather be able to treat everybody the same.
Thank you, Yvette. Sonny, I want to give you 30 seconds to respond to that. Should it be concerning that your campaign seems very connected?
No, not at all. I believe that my campaign reflects what kind of judge I'm going to be. I have the support of the lawyers and the community, many of them, including many endorsements from unions, fire, police, and labor. And that's because they vetted and they actually held endorsement interviews and they determined who they wanted to endorse. And I believe that my actions as a hearing master and as a pro tem judge speak for themselves. I am fair and impartial, and I have been doing this for quite some time, and everyone who appears in front of me knows that they're going to get the same rules and the same laws applied to them.
Thank you very much, Sonny. Yvette, I want to go back to you. In some of your promotional material, you write that you will put Nevada's children and families first. Are you implying that current family court judges are not putting Nevada's children and families first?
Not necessarily. I have always had a focus on Nevada's children and families because I started my career here in 1990 as a teacher and then a counselor. So I'm not necessarily judging my colleagues or my future colleagues. I've been in almost every courtroom in family court, and there's some very good judges. But what I mean by putting Nevada's children and families first is that, for example, many judges never give children an opportunity to express their perspective, never lay eyes on children. And sometimes I feel like when you're making decisions about children that will completely alter their future, that it's relevant and it's necessary to lay eyes on the child, because you're making a decision based on hearsay, what he says, what she says. And sometimes if you're very good with children, which I am, you can look at a child and get a lot of insight into what's going on in that child's family and going on in that child's life. And that's what I meant by putting Nevada's children first. Always, my decision will be what is best for the child.
Soonhee, you've talked about your experience as a hearing master. Is there a role for hearing from children in the courtroom?
There's a role for hearings with children in the courtroom. It just depends on the circumstances. We also have opportunities by statute to appoint guardian ad litem to make sure that the children's opinions and their positions are heard. Sometimes the decision of the judge, the children may not agree with it, but the law says we need to look at the best interest and the factors, and we look at all those things, including in abuse and neglect, as well as juvenile delinquency and in custody issues. And we have to weigh all those decisions when we decide how to handle children. Children may not always agree with that decision, but the law has to be followed, and we have several things that are allowed. We can do child interviews, we can do private interviews, we can do interviews and have the mediation center do it for us, or our therapist do it. There's a lot of different ways for the children to express their wishes and desires, but with most children, sometimes what they want may not be in their best interest. So it's not an automatic. It has to be weighed, and you have to look at the law and the factors involved.
Thank you very much. Stay tuned. We'll be back right after these messages.
The Vegas Nation podcast is your source for all of your Las Vegas Raiders news. Subscribe and get fast takes and smart coverage. Download the Vegas Nation app and check out vegasnation.com to stay up to date with your Las Vegas Raiders.
For all your Raiders news,
veterans on this team.
like us on Facebook, download the Vegas Nation app, and go to vegasnation.com.
Welcome back, and thank you for sticking with us. Soonhee, we're going to take this is going to be your question first. Some family court judges oversee foster care cases. I want to lay out a scenario and just get your thoughts. A birth parent has lost custody of their child and for a year has not made any efforts to pursue reunification. At the 1-year hearing, the parent comes to court and pledges to start working their case plan. Understanding obviously that every case is different and has unique circumstances, would your inclination be to give that parent another chance or change the goal of the case to the termination of parental rights?
I have to give you the lawyer / judge / hearing master answer, which is it depends. These situations occur all the time in abuse and neglect, and sometimes we get a lot of the crossover kids, for lack of a better term, in the other areas of the court, such as delinquency or when there's a custody issue or a guardianship issue. It really just depends where we are. What has the parents, have they done anything at all? There's usually some type of drug testing, drug counseling offered, things like that. So a decision on whether or not to go to termination or to give them more time would really depend on those facts. I know that a lot of people want to start moving forward. So if it comes a time when the parent hasn't done anything at all, it might be the time to go forward with the termination of parental rights. But again, it really depends on the individual circumstances of that particular case.
Thank you, Soonhee. Yvette, you've talked about all the work you've done with children. What are your thoughts when you hear a scenario like that?
Yeah, I've got about 10 years of working in protective services with children abused and neglected. And so over the years, I've learned that you do concurrent planning from the very beginning. When a child's removed from their parent, you have a concurrent track going on. So you have reunification as your primary goal, and then concurrently you have another track going simultaneously. So at the end of the day, it's 14 months of 20 months or so. So 12 months is not really at that point yet, but it's close. And so I think that I would listen, as Sunny said, to what's going on in the life of the mom, and talk with the case managers and caseworkers to see what efforts, if any, were done or why they were not done. Sometimes there's reasons they weren't done. They were in jail, they were sick, they were whatever. There's reasons, and sometimes the reason is not good enough. They just didn't want to. And so it really depends on why they didn't make any reasonable efforts. But always reunification is a goal until you actually terminate parental rights. So we'd have both things going concurrently, and a decision would need to be made immediately unless there's a danger to the child, and then we would move forward.
Thank you, Yvette. What is one deficiency you see in the family court system, and what would you do to fix it if elected?
Well, I think that the legislature did a great job fixing it by adding more judges. I think that they were overburdened with heavy caseloads. And while it's still going to be heavy caseloads, I think we're going to see a big improvement once the coronavirus pandemic is over, with family court being more responsive and more able to help children and family get through the process.
Thank you. Sunny, what about you?
I think that I do agree that a lot of these changes are benefiting, and the addition of more judges is going to help move the cases along. Additionally, even though the coronavirus has changed the way that we have to operate as family court, I see some good things coming out of this in terms of the Blue Jean system, where we can have video conferencing so people don't have to come and miss work time to come down and handle their cases. We're going to be able to be more efficient with everything that we have, and I believe that people are going to get quicker resolutions for their issues, which is going to be great for everyone.
Thank you very much, Sunny. We'll be back for our final segment and closing statements in just a second. Welcome back to our Nevada judicial primary debates. Sunny, this question is for you. I've only got about 15 seconds for each of you. If you are elected, what do you want your legacy to be?
I want my legacy to be that everyone that came in front of me received a fair and impartial hearing, and that I took all the facts into consideration, and that I issued a decision that was based on the law, on the relevant evidence, and that they came to a timely and efficient solution to their and resolution to their issues.
Thank you, Sunny. Yvette, same question. If you are elected, how do you want people to remember your time as judge?
So my legacy would be all the same, with the addition of families leaving feeling as if they were heard. It's very important that people get to tell their story when they're making these significant life changes that are lifelong changes. And so I want them to go, yes, that was Judge Chevalier, and we really feel like we were heard. And to leave, it's a sad situation, but they don't always have to leave miserable.
Thank you, Yvette. And we're going to go to closing statements. 30 seconds to you, Yvette.
So there, on that note, I'd like to say that if I am elected Clark County Family Court Judge Department that I will deliver justice swiftly, professionally, factually, but also with the compassion and with the empathy that children and families deserve when they're making these decisions in their lives, these transitions in their lives that will alter their futures forever. I love the children of Clark County. I always have. I've been here 40 years, and I will leave my legacy as a judge that people say, yes, good judge.
Thank you very much, Yvette. Sunny.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I have over 23 years of experience in criminal, civil, and administrative and family law. I currently serve as a hearing master every day in family court, dealing with issues of our children and our family here in Clark County. I am so proud of the support that I've received from Clark County. I wouldn't be here without the citizens, and I'm especially proud of the endorsements that I have from fire, police, and labor, which includes the Southern Nevada CLC, the local labor 872, SEIU, culinary, and the Juvenile Probation Officers Association. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sunny. And thank you, Yvette, for coming.
Thank
you for watching this edition of Nevada Judicial Debates. Remember, you can find this program and more information on all the judicial races at reviewjournal.com.